Hey, what's up, guys? So, just wanted to come to you live, another week of breakdowns, and just wanted to get into, our usual Sunday special. Me just breaking down, what I think is going to happen next week in the markets. So, first things first. Again, if you don't know me, and you should know me by now because you're on my YouTube, but Breaks Trades, aka Blake. I've been trading for about 10 years. Started in the forex space, moved to the indices space a couple years ago. Well, the futures markets a few years ago, and within that, I trade, a mix of currencies and indices, really anything with volatility. So I just break down the charts every Sunday and really just again give you guys an idea of what I think is going to happen next week in the markets. So thinking about the this upcoming next week, we know that August is kind of a slow month. So coming into this week, we don't really have too many red folder releases. We have FOMC meetings minutes Wednesday at 2. So this is going to be an FOMC week. So again, knowing that FOMC is going to be Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm really looking to take my positions and get out of the market. And yeah, so going into Wednesday, I'm looking to be done by Wednesday at noon for the week. Nothing really going on Friday too. So again, coming to this week, I want to share this tab. So let's look a little bit about the dollar and the bigger time frames. Let's go to the weekly time frame on dollar. Again, we start with dollar because if we understand what we think dollar's potentially doing, then we can potentially plan our week out. So originally, again, and you guys have seen this every week play out, and I'm going to keep calling this every week. But essentially, we were trading at a very, very high premium level here. We consolidated, we actually broke structure, consolidated, trading back into this fair value gap here on the weekly and monthly time frames. And if I go to the monthly, you can see this kind of playing out. Trading back into this, and you can call this a double top, you can call it a consolidation, manipulation, distribution, power 3, whatever you want to call it, right? The market essentially traded to an area of premium and then took some buyers and traded down to the lows where we knew sellers are going to be at. So we've been trading in this like choppy range for the past year, and that makes sense why currencies have not been the best asset to trade, right? We've been trading back and forth between a very defined range. Whereas like the last year, like coming into January of 2025, right? It was very 6 months of just straight bearishness, and we're actually preparing for the next move down, right? And it takes time, right? It takes time. But what I wanted to see was potentially the market trade into this particular range right here, at least this gap or this gap higher, then go lower. And so I thought we could initially trade into this gap that we were trading into, this one right here or this one right here. So 3 of them. And so initially we came up and inverted this gap. So I initially was thinking once the market had inverted this gap, and that's again, I try to color coordinate these fair value gaps to make sure that I know what I'm seeing. So we inverted this, meaning that it didn't hold. I was thinking the next level was here, and I was especially was thinking we could take this particular level because of the buy side liquidity that's resting right there, right? So I was like, okay, cool. We inverted this. Logically, we're going to head to the next area of buyers to see if that's the area that the market wants to reverse out of. So we didn't get that far. We actually failed to get this high, and then we traded back below and closed below this fair value gap there. So what I'm thinking now is potentially the market is actually does not want to go any higher, and this was just a consolidation, a manipulation above these highs, and then we're probably gonna start running back below. With that being said, this fair value gap, I'm going to change it back to red because it's now reclaimed the gap. And all that means is that the market inverted it and took it right back. So within this gap, if you zoom in this current price action level right here, you can see that the market essentially there's a secondary imbalance and some interesting price action here too. you can see the market did have a failure swing. So it traded at that initial high, failed to take that high, immediately broke structure, formed this fair value gap, right? There's a volume imbalance right there that the market traded up and below and back beneath. So all this is saying to me is that from a weekly time perspective, we're bearish, right? So if I was long-term swinging this, I would be, looking for positions to enter and taking these to the lows there, or at least the low there, right? So um, that's long term what I'm thinking, but how does that help us in the week to week? Well, we know that coming into this week, we could see some bearish price action. We could spike up there one more time, but seeing as how we broke structure, formed the gap, traded into the gap on the second one, and then have still closed back below this volume imbalance, it's letting us know that this could be potentially heavy bearish in the next few weeks. So, and the daily just kind of confirms that. So, what am I looking for here? Again, even if you zoom in on the daily, you can see some consolidation here. You see the market spiked up above this high and then went lower. So, what am I looking for dollar? Well, I want to see the market potentially start to run lower. Best case scenario would be us trading one more time back into this gap, running lower, maybe taking out the high of what is this? This is Friday at midnight, so maybe even trading in somewhere into this range one more time and then going lower. What am I looking for? Well, still looking for the first level sell side to get taken at 98. And then from there on out, we're just running lower. So I'm bearish on dollar. And so again, seeing that it's pretty clear play. So let's go to euro really quickly. Again, if we're bearish on dollar, we should be bullish on euro. I did want to see the market run lower on euro. That's pretty much until we inverted things on or reclaim that fair value gap. I mean, the same thing that we're seeing on dollar is pretty much the opposite of what we're seeing on euro, and because they have an inverse relationship. So you see us go down to the daily, the weekly, and you can see here that we were trading. We didn't have a fair value gap per se, but we did take this low here and immediately reverse. And now the market's giving us that same volume imbalance to the upside that we had. We have it to the downside, and the market traded through here once, twice. Actually, did it take that high? Swept that high, but still, again, a very bullish sign and price signature here that the market wants to potentially run higher, especially the last 2 weeks wicking down there. So, what I want to see this week, if I go to the daily, yeah, I want to see the market left us some relative equal highs sitting right there. I want to see the market potentially trade a little bit lower, start the week off, and then run this high. What I don't like here is we're starting to chop here, so it could be anybody's game per se, but would love for this to run in alignment with dollar. So we'll go like that. Feel me? So ideally want to see something like that and us keep running lower. We are trading in this gap too, so just keeping that in mind. But with everything that's going on with dollar, again, what seems to continue to rise. So let's go look at GBP. Same thing here, but just a little bit more congested. It's a little bit harder to see what's going on. You can see this is kind of all chop, which makes it a little bit harder to read. And ideally, last week, same thing here. I wanted to see the market run lower coming out of last week, but we did not get that. So now, again, just aligning with dollar. I want to see this go start continue to run high and take these highs. So what's my target for this week on pound? Would love for us. These relative equal highs are, to me, I think are going to be a draw on liquidity. They are about 150 or 120 points up. So there's a good scenario there. I might look to take it, but keep in mind we did sweep this level there too. But there's again another set of relative equal highs that we could potentially push to. So would love to see the market potentially again trade back into this old fair value gap right there. Excuse me. So again, want to see something like that. Let me go back to just make sure that I'm streaming. So yeah, so I want to make sure that we're going live, uh, and pushing back in the price there, maybe potentially filling in a fair value gap, and then taking things higher. So that's ideally what I want to see there. If we look at, um, let's see, if we look at ES, um, excuse me. So if we look at ES again, we've been trading at all-time highs. We did sweep this most recent high, and I'm gonna get rid of this so we can see this. But we did sweep last week's high, and then traded back into a range here. Um, Again, that's just us running for liquidity, so we know that. Um, but now we have this very open fair value gap up, right? And there's technically another volume imbalance right there to the downside. But for all intents and purposes, this is our weekly range. If we look at the daily time frame, I could see a world where we trade back into this gap and run lower. I don't think Nasdaq traded in its respective gap, so I could be wrong here. Um, yeah, it failed to do so. So that could be some divergence, but ideally, I'm gonna say, oops. What I'd like to see is maybe us retest the high end of the gap, take out some liquidity, and then higher. A little tricky, but the way I see this is there's sell side there, and sell side in this gap, in that BISI, right? Think about the paint pocket example. But something like this to either that level. So one of these three levels here. There, sweep, higher, right? So again, looking for this to go to the all-time highs. The one thing that I'm kind of interested in is Nasdaq, and Nasdaq did something a little different. So it dipped and it recovered, but it traded it into its respective fair value gap, right? So that lets me know that Nasdaq was a little bit weaker than ES there. So what we could be looking at here is could be the start of a divergence play where we continue to run things higher, or Nasdaq was looking for some more, or ES, I'm sorry, is looking for more liquidity before it runs lower. Actually, now that I look at this, it looks like ES did trade into its gaps. That's on me. That's my bad. So it did trade into its gap, but it didn't go as high as or as deep in it as Nasdaq did. So I do see all these wicks over this high too, right? This was the most recent all-time high. And we see the market is really failing to break above that. We traded in there, and now we're experiencing some failure here. So I definitely think we could trade a little bit lower in this gap. It's really going to depend on how we react once we take this out. Do we invert this fair value gap and we're running lower for the rest of the week, or do we respect this and tend to go higher? And I think that's the same thing here on Nasdaq. Yep, same thing here on Nasdaq. So again, if I'm looking at Nasdaq, again, this is the asset that I trade probably the most right now. But if we're looking at Nasdaq, a few things have happened. So we did have this crazy spike the last few weeks where we took out sell side liquidity there. Right, and then decided to sweep and go back higher. A sweep like this lets me know the market is probably going to be bullish from here on out. There could be a retest, but probably not. So what I'm looking at here is this fair value gap there, right? And at some point, we know that the market potentially could fill that. Um, but as of right now, again, you have to ask yourself, are we more likely to go higher or more likely to go lower? Long term higher, right? So asking myself here with the same logic, we're in the middle of the range. We have an area of buy side to the high, and then we have an area of sell side, or this pain pockets examples here. Obviously, at the low, this low here, right? So again, being able to uh, think about what you want to see happen. Again, we're bullish. So in theory, what I want to see from the best perspective is that we take that and do something like that, where we trade back into the area sell side, a paint pocket example, right? Where the sellers are at, or take out the low here and then continue to run higher to these buyers, especially with these relative equal highs sitting right there. It's pretty clean. It's probably letting you know that they're trying to engineer liquidity. So again, what I want to see this week is maybe potentially best case scenario, a Monday, Tuesday, where we just sweep this. And I probably would be looking at this low right here, this very distinct uh, 29, 3,000 level. And I think if we take that, it could set us up for getting that daily liquidity. And if you go to the weekly time frame again, it looks like we would take the obviously the and trade that gap as well. So there's a lot there that I'm always watching for, but ideally would love for us to crash strong in the beginning of the week, pick up some liquidity, and then go higher for the remaining of the week. If we do sweep this high, then maybe it's uh, a reversal or we just keep going up. So anything can really happen, but this is just kind of like what I want to see happen in order for me to engage the market. I want to see the market pull back and go lower. And then do that. So that's ES. Let's look at YM real quick. Um, so looking at YM again, two levels there that we could trade into. This is a little bit different setup than the last one, where the other ones are trading outside of their fair value gap. If you put this side by side, because I'm paying for premium now again, so put this side by side next to NQ. Yeah, so my NQ go. Whatever. Okay, so again, if you go to the 4 hour here, you can see that the market is already traded into its gap. You go to the daily. It's not what I just looked at. There we go. So this low here is the low that was formed there. So if I go to I could see us running and taking this low on Nasdaq about the same time that we trade into this overall fair value gap. Is the only thing I was trying to say. So I could see us doing that and then wanting to run higher for the week. Maybe it's a spike. Maybe it's not a full candle close, but just running that low as probably the best case scenario. Or I could see us taking out the low of maybe Friday, Thursday or Friday. There's a very small fair value gap here now that I'm looking at things, like right there. So we might not even get that low. Oh, I know what's going on. I have this window up so I can only see what's going on. Like I can't have both these drawings up here. Okay, cool. So yeah, so looking at NQ, again, taking sell side right there. And having that up. And then let me put NQ up as well. So ES, again, I could see us taking out spiking below this low and then going higher, but there's a like a stupid small fair value gap right there. So I could see us running for these lows, spiking down there or this level there, just running bearish into something to give us the pullback for the week. Same thing here. Again, taking this low just to run bearish to grab some liquidity and then run higher. 4-hour time frame, I don't really see anything too crazy different here. So again, it could just take out last week's or Friday's low and then go higher. But again, I'm always thinking like, what's the most prominent area of liquidity we could potentially run to? And I think it's that. So we'll see. We will see coming into next week. Let me look at gold really quickly. I actually think gold is in a really good position to run higher as well. You can see this daily fair value gap. It's daily fair value gap right there. Market is trading. It traded once, twice, 3 times. A lot of times when you see 3 drives in the liquidity, it's just the psychology of 3. And the market is probably going to start to reverse, and it did for that day. It definitely ran lower. And then still closed above consequent encroachment. So the original idea I had here was that gold could run higher. And I think that's starting to still be proved here. Because not only is gold on the verge of inverting this gap, if you get rid of this gap for a second and just look at the current price swing, you can see the market traded directly into that imbalance. And almost traded all the way through. So not only did we trade in this gap, we took out the low here of, I think, Monday, the Monday low, right? Which is intentional. So we ran back down to the weekly open, took that, and then turned around and ran right back up, right? So I think this is looking very bullish still. I know it does still have like some levels here that I'm kind of nervous about, but I think based on everything that we've done, I would like to see this run higher. Especially knowing that dollar is heading lower, euro is probably heading higher, and we know there's going to be some alignment there. So that's pretty much all I've got for you guys as far as the market potentially running higher and lower, and where we think at for next week. I'm actually going to take a very close look at Japanese yen really quickly too, because I know that's on the list of assets. So again, yen is in a really good place, weird place where we're pretty much in a downtrend. I mean, this is like a forced, pretty much just it's running to hell, basically. And so the value of the yen is decreasing like crazy. We're also seeing the market basically trade back into old price structures right here. So we inverted this fair value gap, thinking the market could run higher. I thought coming out of this, we could potentially run higher again. And maybe this was the end of everything. It was just a break of structure. But we're trading back below, back into these We inverted this gap, reclaimed it. So I'm just going to say this is a reclaimed FVG. So that means it's back invalid again, essentially. And usually, again, I make these, well, it should be red. So again, I want to see the market continue to run lower in alignment with this. And if you look at the daily price action here, again, more opportunities that line us up with bearishness. You can see here that we did trade through this. We had a long wick. We had the consequent encroachment of that wick not touched. Not even really the 25% of that wick being touched. And then the market just kind of ran and broke structure and ran right through. If we go to the 4-hour time frame on gold, you can see that the market traded back above this, kind of swept this high initially, retested, and then gave up the ghost. So if I was trading this again, I would be looking for this to run lower. Maybe take out these lows here, keep running back all the way down to the low of the low. So what I'm watching for this week is there's 2 consecutive fair value gaps right there. So I just made one big one and would love to see the market do something like this on yen. So, oops. And then obviously however low we can take it is however low we can take it. So that's pretty much everything. Again, if we start the dollar, again, I want to see dollar run bearish. I'm going to go back to one screen. Again, I want to see dollar potentially run bearish this week and take these lows. So with that in mind, again, euro, I want to see it run higher. Right. With euro, my fail-safe level, again, is going to probably be this level there. If we break structure, if we fail, close below that and break structure, my idea is probably off for the week. Then here as well. So again, ES, I want to see us potentially fill this gap. We could just melt and keep going, but at least trade back to there to see if we want to look higher at that point. Same thing with NQ. And YM, again, I want to see if we can touch this fair value gap. Maybe we start higher and then run lower. We are resting comfortably on the 50% level, so that's a good sign. And then ES, again, we did sweep this high just here. So really the question are we asking ourselves now, is this a sweep or is this just a pullback? And really we'll know, I think, how we invert this and treat this. And so I'm really looking for here for us to potentially pull all back before we start running higher again, noting that this is an overarching fair value gap that the market could potentially want to fill. To me, it makes a lot of sense, especially since we were consolidating, manipulating, and then maybe distributing. So again, we'll know more when the market opens up. Yeah, so I think that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to go to the comment section and see if there's anybody here. There's nobody on the call. It's cool. But if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to hit me up and go from there. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. So appreciate the time and happy trading this week. Peace.